So, the reason that we're doing this is because we both crave attention, right?
We need to put ourselves out there somehow.
Right. Do you
There.
think I should have put lipstick on?
I think you should put more white in your hair.
So,
No, you should. Yes, you should. Next time. This is not the final. This is a dress rehearsal.
hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Joey's Scarf. This is episode 9, and today is April 21st, 2017, and it is Friday. Gloomy day here in Barnegat. Gray, temperatures near just barely out of the 50s. Little rainy, spotty rain here and there. But the best thing about today is it is my granddaughter's birthday, Bella, and she is 13 years old today. She's a teenager today. And I can't believe time flies, really. Bella is my oldest grandchild, and she's the only girl. So I have 6 grandchildren, and I have 5 grandsons and 1 granddaughter. And Bella is the oldest, and she's a beautiful, beautiful young lady. I might throw some pictures in of her. So I'm so happy to wish Bella a happy birthday today. Not that she watches this, but she's on my mind today all day, and I want to wish her a happy birthday. So I have some things I'd like to share with you today. I have some finished objects, and I think I have two things maybe that are on the needles that I'm working on, and I have a planned project. So I'm going to get started with my finished objects. I've been on a kick lately with Knitting Shorty Socks. I had not tried those before, and I figured I'd give it a go, and decided to use up some of my yarn that I have in my, what I call my bag of leftovers, my bag of leftovers. And actually the first pair that I made were not from a bag of leftovers. So the first shorty pair I ever made actually are my April socks. And when I say my April socks, these are the socks I'm entering in the Naughty Knitwit Socket knit along. Every month you knit a pair every month, starting the first of the month and completing before the end of the month. So far I've done February and March. I did do January, but didn't get them quite in on time. But I have been on time for February and March, and I was on time for April too. So these are my April shorty socks. They came out pretty nice. I feel like they're a little big, so they were sort of my experiment socks. The yarn is by Premier Yarns, and it's their Deborah Norville line, and it's their Serenity sock base, and this color is called Chili. And I like the way they came out. The yarn feels nice. I feel like they are just a touch too big, though. I think they'll be okay. With these, I cast on my normal 60 stitches, which I usually do for my regular socks, and it's the I do the knit 2, purl 3 rib. I put in an afterthought heel. I think they'll be okay. but the next pair I decided to cast on fewer stitches, but these came out pretty good. That's pair number 1. So because I thought these might be a little big on me, I decided the next pair I was going to do, I would cast on 56 stitches, and that's these. And these do fit me a little better with 56 stitches. This yarn is from my bag of leftovers, just a speckled sock yarn, and I had some leftover of the dark color and decided to do the heel and toes in the contrasting color. But these also came out nice. The yarn feels nice, but still, I thought, still just a little bit too big. So back to the drawing board. Okay, pair number 3. Yes, I've done 3 pairs so far. This is pair number 3. And again, these are from, leftover sock yarn. I don't remember. I might have made it. Actually, I think I made a hat out of this yarn for my daughter-in-law, who is a Mets fan. So these were the orange and blue colors, and I made a hat for her for Christmas. And this is what I had left over, and I don't even know what the yarn is. But these I cast on 52 stitches. 52 stitches on, and I've been doing these on 9-inch circulars, a size 0. All 3 of these pairs so far. These fit me even better. So the 52, I think, is a good cast on for me, so that I don't feel like they're going to slip off my feet. What I did do is the cuffs are 52, cast on 52 stitches, and it's a 2x2 rib. And then after the ribbing, I increased to 54 stitches, so 1 stitch on each end. I was afraid that the foot might be too tight, so that's, it's a good fit. The striping, the striping came out this way, just happened to come out that the cuff was blue, and the toe was, there was a bunch of blue at the toe. But I thought that was pretty neat the way they came out. And again, it's the afterthought heel, and done on the 9-inch size 0 circular needles. So that's I was really going crazy. Pair number 3, I couldn't stop making these. Then I decided to try the, what's the name of that pattern? The Rose City Roller pattern. Yeah, Rose City Rollers by Myra Catherine Burns, and I'll put that across the screen. And I really like the way these came out. These are cast on 56 stitches. Now the Rose City Rollers pattern calls for a rolled cuff. In other words, no ribbing here, you just start knitting, just doing a stockinette stitch, but I decided I wanted a little cuff, so I did a 2x2 rib. And then I haven't done these in a long time, but I did the heel and the gusset. And I was pretty happy with the way they came out. I miss doing that. I've been doing the afterthought heel for so long. This yarn is by Webb's, the yarn store Webb's, and they're yarn.com on the internet, and this is their brand that they carry, and it's called Huntington. It's Valley Yarns, sorry, it's Valley Yarns, and this is their Huntington base. and it is 75% merino and 25% nylon. And they come in 50-gram balls, 50-gram skeins. So I was able to get a pair of socks out of just the one skein. And these fit me really well. So, yeah, I did 4 pair of socks in 2 weeks since I last podcast. That's pretty cool, huh? Yeah, so I'm pretty happy. I will wear these, and I haven't tested them out yet. I wanted to save, before I started wearing them, and I wanted to save them for the podcast, so I'll let you know how they work with the shoe. So those are my socks that I did so far for this month, and was really having a good time obsessively knitting those socks. Oh, I forgot to mention these socks, the Rose City roller socks. I did these magic loop. I think I did them on a 40-inch cable, size 0. But I just wanted to mention that these I did magic loop. I don't know how it would be to do the heel and gusset on a 9-inch circular. I guess you can do it, but I haven't tried that one yet. So the other thing I worked on after I finished my 4 pair of socks was what I'm wearing. And this is the 100-Acre Wood Shawl by Helen Stewart. And I did finish it. I've been working on it for a little bit, maybe about a month or so, and I was determined to get it done. And I do like the way it came out, and I'll put a picture here of it spread out, but it really turned out really nice, and I'll show you. I'll take it off. And very, very lacy and pretty. Hard to kind of get the whole picture of it, but really a pretty shawl. I liked knitting it. I think at the end there's like 375 stitches, and this is the small version of the shawl, and I can't even imagine making the larger one. I was pretty much done by the time it was done. The yarn is 3 Irish Girls yarn, and it's their Adorn sock. 80% merino, 20% nylon, and the color is Arctic Circle. That's this yarn. And I didn't even, I think I was 2 rows, I stopped 2 rows short of the, what it called for in the pattern. And the reason for that is I knew I was going to run out of yarn, so I had to stop. But this is the pattern. It's the 100-Acre Wood by Helen Stewart. And like I said, I stopped 2 rows. I was supposed to knit two more rows of the pattern, but I felt I could stop where I did, because this is all I had left. And I wouldn't have had enough, definitely would not have had enough to do 2 more rows plus the picot bind off. So I had no choice, but it's a nice size. For me, it's really a nice size. So I'm glad I stopped when I did, because I would have hated to run out of yarn, and I think I made the right choice. So on to works in progress. The first work in progress I have is living in my Bluebird Loft bag, the little baby animals, and it's a pair of socks. And I just started these, so I don't have much done. But these are going to be calf length socks the way I normally do. And I haven't decided. I might do the heel and gusset on these, or my usual afterthought heel, but I'm going to make a decision as I go along. So this is Knit Picks Felice yarn, and this is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and this color is Chickadee. I really like this. It's really soft, pretty color striping. And this Felice yarn is really, really soft, very soft. I had made another pair for last month, and I've worn them and washed them, and they really come out nice. What I did do though with these, I cast on 56 stitches instead of my normal 60, because this yarn is kind of stretchy, and I felt like the 60 stitches that I used for the other pair, the first pair I knit out of Felice, they were kind of loose on me, so these should be better with the 56 stitches. So that's my sock work in progress. So I just realized that I never really introduced myself. My name is Linda, and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Linda Grace, and that's Linda with a Y. We have a group on Ravelry for the podcast called Joey's Scarf. And the name of the podcast is a dedication to my son Joe, who passed away 5 years ago from colon cancer. So this podcast is kind of a tribute to Joe. So the last month, or about month and a half maybe, in our group we were doing a knit along. And the theme of the knit along was to knit a scarf or a shawl for somebody who was special in your life, somebody that you might want to remember, or someone you might want to gift the item to. And that was, for me, the significance of it was I had knit my son a scarf while he was going through chemo, and I still have the scarf, and it reminds me of Joe, and it's a nice remembrance. So that was the theme of the knit along. And it was also, April is Joe's birthday month. He was born on April 4th, and that was the day I chose to end the knit along. So 7 of us completed the knit along, me and 6 of my friends that are in the group. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time doing it. I sent a little something to each of the 6 ladies who completed the knit along, and I'm so sorry that it appears that the 3 ladies who live in England have not gotten their package yet. And I guess it takes a little while. All the packages all went out at the same time, and I keep checking to see if you ladies in England got yours. And as of today, it doesn't appear that the items have been delivered. They've gotten to London, and it seems as though that's where they're stalled for some reason. But I hope you get them soon. My next work in progress is kind of special because two of the ladies who participated and finished the knit along were so kind, and they decided to gift to me, which I thought I was overwhelmed with appreciation. One person, Peg, decided to, was nice enough, and I was thrilled that she gifted a pattern to me. And the name of the pattern is ECHINACEA, and I'll put it across the screen. And it's a crochet pattern. Actually, I have the pattern here. It's called the ECHINACEA SHAWL, and it's a crochet pattern, and I really like it. It's so pretty. So Peg, thank you so much. I of course sent you a note to thank you, but I was just so thrilled about that. And Linda from Oregon also was so generous and sent me yarn, and the name of the yarn, hang on for a second here, is from the Dirt Fairy. And this is Fairy Toes fingering weight, and it's 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon, and the color is Galaxy Far Away. And what's neat about this is it's an Oregon yarn, a hand-dyed yarn from Oregon. And Linda also in the package, because I'm just overwhelmed really, some pretty stitch markers. And I don't know if she knew that I collect pigs, but Linda, guess what? I collect pigs. And these stitch markers are from Miss Pearl, Danielle Dawanak, and I'm assuming she has an Etsy store. And she is poeticpearl@gmail.com, and she's misspearl.com. Really cute stitch markers. So thank you so much, Linda. Really very nice of you. So what I've decided to do is knit the pattern that Peg sent me, the Echinacea shawl, using the yarn that Linda sent me. So I just started it. I really am enjoying crocheting this. I like the way it's coming out. And I'm going to enjoy knitting this. Sorry that my yarn is in here, but this is the way this is the Yarn It. And I'm using a size G crochet hook. So I have a feeling the next podcast I'm going to be wearing this shawl. Can you tell I'm really happy about this? Really happy. Thank you again. Thank you so much, Peg and Linda. That was just too kind of you. Thank you so much. Okay, so that was my works in progress, pair of socks and the special shawl that I'm knitting. The next thing is what I'm going to be planning on doing. Helen Stewart, I don't know if you are familiar with her. I'm sure you must be. Last summer, I guess, or spring, she had done something called the SHAWL Society, where she would release a shawl pattern, I think once a month for 6 months. So you would buy the whole 6 months in the beginning, and every month she would release a pattern. And I think she may do it in clues, but I'm not sure because I didn't do it last year. But this year I've decided to do it because I have knit a couple of her patterns. This is a Helen Store pattern, and I had done another one, and I really like the way she writes her pattern, so I've decided to join with this Shawl Society. It starts, I think, the first month. The pattern is going to be released May 1st, I believe. But you can look that up on Ravelry, Helen Stewart, and I think she's Curious Handmade, but I'll put that information across the screen. So, from the clues that she kind of gave beforehand, she gives a little bit of information. I decided to pick out some yarn, and this is what I've decided to, the colors that I've decided to use for my first Shawl Society shawl for this season. I think it's called like Season 2, the Shawl Society Season 2. And this yarn I got on Etsy, and it's from, the dyer is Twisted Hues, and it's 80% merino and 20% nylon. And this color is called Bonfire. And yeah, she's on Etsy, this person. And I was very thrilled because she included two minis in with the skein that I bought, which I thought was really nice of her. I might be able to incorporate that somehow into the shawl. So I'm anxiously waiting for my first clue of the new Season 2 of the Shawl Society. I'll see how I make out. I kind of doubt I'm going to be making all 6 shawls, but I at least I think I am at least going to make the first one. So this is what I'm doing for the Shawl Society. I've purchased a few other things, some yarns, of course. Can't seem to help myself. But I've decided for the future podcasts that I'm not going to sit here and go through, here, this is what I bought, and this is what I bought, and look at this. I've decided to only show the yarn when I've cast it on for a project. I think that's more meaningful, and it might help me curtail my buying too. Yeah, right, like that's going to happen. As you all know, that doesn't happen. But anyway, but one of the things that I did buy that I thought was really neat, and I hope that it is useful, it seems to be, that is the, I don't know if you've heard of this, the sock ruler. And it looks like this. Whoops. Looks like this. And it is a way to measure your progress as you're going along while you're knitting your sock. So, as you can see, the instructions here, for instance, if you have the leg of your sock knitted to 7.5 inches, you just slip that on and you can see how far you've gotten. You can measure the length of the cuff, and you can use it for, it says it works in both directions, cuff down or toe up. And I'm going to give it a try. I haven't used it yet, but I'm knitting my socks now, and I'm at the cuff where I'm going to try them on and see how far I've gotten. So we're going to test that out. So to demonstrate, here's my sock. I have the cuff, and I like to knit my cuffs 2 inches. And that's where my cuff is, so I know that that's time to move on to the leg. I think that'll work great. I think that's a good purchase. And you can get them at sockruler.com, or if you just search for sock ruler, other places sell them. I think Etsy, some people on Etsy sell them, but I went directly to sockruler.com and got mine. So Wednesday, Ross had to go in for some minor surgery. It was an in and out kind of thing, had some injury to his hand that he needed to have fixed. And while I was waiting for him in the waiting room, I was sitting there knitting on my sock, and this woman, I looked up and I saw this woman looking at me, directly at me, and she got up and headed towards me and said, "I'm coming over by you." And she sat down next to me, and she wanted to know what I was knitting. And she and I started to talk, and we had a nice hour-long conversation, which started out because I was knitting. And it is an instant bonding. Knitting is an instant bonding experience. We kind of, in an hour, probably told half of our life history to each other, as if we were old friends. And that's one of the nice things about knitting, instant friends. So it's at this time in the podcast that I like to set aside a little bit of time to talk about Joe, and also about my grief. This is part of why I'm doing the podcast. It's interesting how much this podcast, how much it has meant to me, and what an effect it has had on me, because I guess I haven't realized how much emotion is still attached. Obviously, it's probably never going to go away, but when I am getting ready to do the podcast, I take time to think about Joe and what I might talk about on the podcast, and it gives me the chance to unearth the feelings, because most of the time they're buried way, way down deep. Because, you know, life goes on and we have to carry on. And sometimes it just gets buried too deep. But anyway, I write a blog. I have a blog called Linda Grace An Hour Away. And as I've said in previous podcasts, writing and knitting has helped me a great deal through my grief. Also, I have to mention that my other children, my daughter and her family, and my son and his children, and my daughter-in-law, and all of those around me are such great comfort to me. I don't know, my daughter's phone calls are 2-hour conversations on the phone once a week, and I appreciate them so much. I appreciate them so much. But as I was saying, I have found writing to be a great release for me, and I'd like to share something I wrote about my grief, and I wrote this about a year after Joe passed away. The name of the piece is called "Who is My Ghostwriter?" And it starts off like this. I wish to mind meander here a little. I am struggling with grief loneliness. I understand, believe me, I get it. No one can actually feel my pain. For instance, when I watch a video of someone skydiving, I might suck in breaths of fear, feel tinges of exhilaration, and a sense of relief when the parachuter lands safely. But unless I actually jump from the plane, I know that I will never get the full impact of the experience. I can gather together with others who have had losses almost exactly like mine, and I may have the ability to empathize with them more than someone who has not suffered such a loss. But their tears are agonizingly and privately their own, just as mine are. Today my mind is weary and my limbs seem too heavy to move. I speak a mute's language of shrugs and sighs. The pain just above my right eye is relentless and my heart is writhing. I imagine being somewhere else. Strangely, it is not basking in the yellow warmth of a sandy beach, but instead I picture shivering in the white cold of snowy mountains. My scattered thoughts lead me to my mother's deathbed. She was unresponsive at that point. She had not seen my brother for a long time. She spent her whole life wanting him to be okay. Although he was not able to be by her side, he called and we placed the phone up to her ear. He told her he was doing well and that she should not worry about him because he was okay. It's what she longed to hear. Somewhere in the middle of the night, I went to check on her. I stroked her hair and told her that she was a good mother. She was loved by all of us, and most importantly, Adam was okay. She passed a few hours later. As I think and write about this, I realize that there is never really an end to life's story. Our life is not a sitcom TV or a novel that gets wrapped up tight. Life is more like a short story, a very, very short story. My mother died thinking that her son was going to be okay. He was not, and still isn't. But we gave her the ending that she would have wanted. How silly to think that we are the creator of our own story. My story had a predictable beginning and a relatively uneventful middle. I spent hours developing and nurturing my beloved characters as I helped them grow and evolve. How foolish of me to think that I had the plot all figured out and I could end my story, and they all lived happily ever after. Actually, the epiphany of accepting that my story is being written by a ghostwriter is somewhat of a relief. I can relinquish control to her, for she writes a most suspenseful story which will keep me guessing right up until As I willingly and gratefully share my thoughts, I remember and appreciate those everyday hugs and I love yous, the hours of almost daily phone support chats, the continued thinking of you and notes I receive in the mail, the just when I need it most checking in and Skype sessions, and of course the supportive comments from my very kind readers. Oh, I still have moments like that. Especially during this month, the month of April. It doesn't get any easier, but it seems as though, you know, those days, the days of birth and death and Christmas and Mother's Day and my birthday, those days may seem like, oh, it's just another day, but they bring up feelings and memories, and that's why this month has been a little hard for me, and that's why I appreciate my family. I appreciate you watching and listening and commenting. It means a lot to me, so thank you so very much. Okay, kind of hard to make a transition here, but in our group, our lovely Joey Scarf Ravelry group, we were tossing around the ideas of having another knit along because we enjoyed the one that we just finished so much. I asked for suggestions, and one of the ladies, Sylvia, Little Red Robin in Ravelry, came up with the suggestion of making a tea cozy and having a knit along and the knit along would be to make a tea cozy, crochet or knit a tea cozy. To tell you the truth, I have been wanting to make a tea cozy, seriously. Every morning first thing I do when I get up is put the tea kettle on, and I pour my tea into a little teapot and to let it steep. And sometimes if I forget, by the time I get to pour my tea into a cup, it's gotten cold. So I thought, I wonder if a tea cozy actually does keep the tea warmer. So I have been wanting to try to make one. So I think that's what we're going to do, and I would love to have you, anyone who would like to join in. I looked, and there are a bunch of very creative tea cozies out there, very cute. So I thought we could try this and have a tea cozy, a cozy little tea cozy knit along. Let's start it maybe May 1st, and we'll let it run until July 1st. How does that sound? Give us plenty of time to come up with some ideas. And actually, I'm pretty sure that a tea cozy won't take that long to do. And maybe, yeah, sure there'll be some a prize or two here or there to go along with the knit along. So I appreciate that suggestion, Sylvia. It's a good one. I like it, and I hope we can get some good participation. So I think that's it for now. I hope to see you again in a couple of weeks, in 2 weeks. I did want to thank any new viewers, and I wanted to thank those of you who come back and listen and watch and comment. I really appreciate it. I would appreciate, it would mean a lot to me to have you subscribe so that you know when the next podcast is up. So I think that's it for today. That's going to be a wrap, and I hope you have a good couple of weeks. You get in some knitting and crocheting and making tea cozies, whatever you like to do. And until next time, I'm going to say bye.
Interesting with what we're doing
Yeah.
now. You could probably edit this into a full-length motion picture.